Wow, here we are again, folks. Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. Listen, when we look in the mirror, what do we see? We see a human being. Do we see a frightened human being, or do we see a courageous human being? Do we see a person who's going to follow God and do like Haggai did and say, look, Lord, I can't do this. And God said, oh, yes, you can. You just quit looking at yourself and look at me. So when you look at yourself, see me, and I will come through you. I will work through you. So are you going to listen to the devil, or are you going to listen to God? The thing is to listen to God and to come out. And he said, thus spaketh the Lord of hosts, saying, the people say, the time is not come, the time that the Lord's house should be built. I got news for you. Haggai says, this is the time the Lord's house is to be built. Not necessarily a building, even though it was a building in that period of time. It is time for you, O ye, to dwell in your sealed houses, and this house lie waste. This is a picture today of today's church. We live in mansions, houses, and we take care of them. Matter of fact, we get so over debt in our houses that we can't do our tithes. And then God's not going to bless it. So we need to be careful. He said, you got those sealed houses, and the house of the Lord's going to waste. It can't pay the light bill. It can't take care of itself. Why? Because you're too busy taking care of yourself outside. Now, therefore, he said, thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. Wow. 10 cents of every dollar that you make belongs to the Lord Jesus Christ. That is 10% of every dollar. If you'll do that, that's $10 out of 100. You say, well, I can't do it. Well, I can tell you what. Leave off 2 lattes this week and pay your tithes. And I guarantee you, God will bless you next week. Change your ways. This is what Haggai is saying. You live in this beautiful sealed house. You go out in the morning, instead of drinking a cup of coffee at home you could do for a dime, and you go down there and spend $3 at McDonald's or somewhere, or $4 behind a latte that you could have. You did it with your tithing money, and then wonder why you're not blessed. That's why you're not blessed. Look what he says here in verse 6. You have sown and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. You are clothed, but they're not warm. And he endureth wages, earned wages, to put into a bag with a hole in it. What is the hole? The hole is where that 10% that belonged to God fell out into something it wasn't supposed to go to. So you need to get back on the ball and get your 10% right, and maybe you can get your home right, get your house right, get everything right, and get the church house right. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. That's the second time now he has said in this verse, consider your ways. The people of verse 2 in chapter 1 are the same people in verse 5, in chapter 4 and 5, excuse me. And they haven't considered their ways. If you don't consider your ways are going to get worse and worse and worse. Next thing you know, you're in a divorce court. What happened? Well, your finances fell out, and then your love life got all mixed up, and then you got at your wife, and she got at you, and the children are all in a muddle, and you call a preacher up and you say, I'm headed for the divorce court. Well, you started it all when you quit tithing. You started it all when you didn't put God first. Tithing is putting God first. And when you tithe, you put God first. If you don't put Him first, you put Him second, you're going to come in third. I guarantee it every time. You'll come in third every time you put God second. You put Him first, and He'll let you come in first. Always. It works that way. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider your ways. Go up to the mountain and bring wood. What he's saying in the Old Testament here was, you bring your sacrifice in. That's what builds the fire in God. When you bring your 10%. And by the way, 10% for us today is not a sacrifice. We throw that much away in gumball machines. Man, I see people who can't tithe, and they got 4 kids, and they go to a restaurant and they let the kids put $10 in the gumball machines. That's God's money. Tell the kids, hey, we can't do that this week. We got to tithe. Teach them something. And besides gumballs. And now, look, the high priest and the spirit of all the remnant of the people, and they came and did work in the house of the Lord. Do you know that there's 168 hours in a week? That means if you give God 10%, you owe 16.5 hours a week directly to God of free time with no money. You say, well, what can I do down at the church, Brother Peter? I'll tell you what you can do. I'll make sure you got it if you'll do it. I'll get you a push broom, and you can sweep the front parking lot. Every Monday morning, you can come just before you go to work. Run over there and sweep the front porches off on the church. You could walk around there and see what kind of limbs need trimming. You can see if the grass, you say, well, we pay a grass man. That's beside the point. If he hasn't got time or hasn't been able to do it, you do it. You see it needs doing. You got 16.8 hours you owe God. 5 hours, you owe God. So you got to give it to him somewhere. You can ask every week, what's happening down the gym this week? Can I come sweep the floor? Can I do this? Can I do that? He said on the 24th of the 6th month, in the 2nd year of Darius the king, in the 7th month, and on the 20th day of the month, came word to the Lord by the prophet Haggai, saying, what did he do? He took the time of the month, and he made sure that he went to the guy, the head guy, and said, what do you need? What can I do? I want to give my 10%. I want to give my 16.8 hours. If you happen to be a faith church member and you're watching me, we want to build a camp down there. You can take your little pair of clippers and go down there 1 hour a day for the week. And you'll have to do an hour and a half some days to get your 16.8 hours in, and just run around and clip weeds. Get the poison oak. Pull some things off the trees. Clean up. Rake a little. Find something to do at the church. It needs to be done. It's a mess behind the gym down there. It's a mess. We can use sweepers, all kinds of things. But look, in Zerubbabel, the son of the Shealtite, the governor of Judah, and Joshua. Now listen to this. Joshua, the son of Josedek, the high priest, and to the residue of the people, saying, who is left among you that saw this house in her first glory? Who is there left in Faith Baptist Church? Who is there left in the church you go to that saw this thing flourish in one day? The parking lot was clean. The steps was clean. All the bricks were in place. There weren't no bricks knocked off around the steps. There wasn't no holes here and there that weren't taken care of. Everything was taken care of. Now the place is in a mess. One person can't take care of it. If God has challenged you through this little excerpt to give a little bit of your time out of the week and pay your time tithe, let alone your $10 on 100, but your time tithe. And I have a son that follows this. I don't believe there's ever been a week since he's been in the church he hasn't given 16 hours or more to the church in labor somewhere down there. Not only that, he's always never failed in his tithe if he didn't eat. But God has always blessed him to have enough. And how ye shall see now, it is not your eyes that are comparison of it as nothing. Yet now be strong. Be strong, he said, and take a hold. Listen to what you're being told and do it. Act on it. Act on it. Act on it. I guarantee what? You'll see a difference in your house. You'll see a difference in your life. Just that little $10. Just that $10 of every 100 of the week. I guarantee it. Let's see. We're going to have to whoop it off now because we're at 9 minutes. So we'll see you next time. Right. Bye-bye.